You already know how your eyes work. You've known since you were a kid. Light enters, your eyes detect it, your brain sees color. Simple. And honestly, that's not wrong. That's exactly what happens, on the surface. You've been using your eyes every single second of your waking life. You're using them right now. You trust them completely. You have no reason not to. They've never lied to you. Every color you've ever seen, you saw with those eyes. The red of a traffic light, the blue of a clear sky, the green of grass in the morning. All of it, perfectly, reliably, consistently there, every single time you looked. But here's the number that should make you stop. Your retina contains roughly 120 million photoreceptor cells, and only 6 million of them can detect color. The other 114 million? Completely colorblind. They don't detect color at all. That's already strange, but it's not the real problem. The real problem is what those 6 million cells actually send to your brain. Because when you look at something red, what electrical signal does red produce? Okay, so here's the obvious answer, the one that feels completely airtight. Light travels in waves, different wavelengths, different colors. Red light oscillates at around 700 nanometers, blue at 450, violet even shorter. Each color has its own unique wavelength, like a fingerprint, distinct, measurable, real. So your eyes detect the wavelength, and that wavelength is the color, right? That's the answer. That has to be the answer. It's literally in every physics textbook. Except, think about what a wavelength actually is. It's a number, a distance, the gap between two peaks of an oscillating electromagnetic field. The number 700 doesn't contain red. It contains nothing. It's just a measurement. A radio wave oscillating at 100 megahertz doesn't contain music. The oscillation frequency is not the song. The wavelength is not the color. Outside your eyes, there is no red in red light. There is only a number. So the wavelength isn't the color. Fine. But your cone cells, those 6 million detectors, they convert the wavelength into a color signal, right? The cones are the translators. That signal travels up the optic nerve and arrives in your brain as color. That must be it. And this answer feels even better than the first one, doesn't it? Because it accounts for the translation step. Wavelength in, color signal out. Clean. Except here's what cone cells actually produce when light hits them. A voltage spike, an electrical impulse, a change in membrane potential measured in millivolts. That's it. That is the entire output of a cone cell detecting red light, the same kind of electrical signal your heart generates with every beat. There is no red in that voltage, no blue, no green, just electricity. Your optic nerve carries roughly 1 million nerve fibers, and every single one of them transmits the same thing, electrochemical pulses. Identical in type to every other signal in your entire nervous system. Nothing about those signals says color. Nothing. Not one bit of color information exists in that signal. So your eyes send no color to your brain. Your cone cells produce no color. The photons themselves carry no color, just frequency. You have just run out of places for color to hide. Every answer you had is gone. Every mechanism you trusted has been eliminated. And the question is still sitting right there, completely unanswered. Where exactly is the color coming from? Here it is, one sentence, no softening. Color does not exist in the physical world. Your brain invents it, entirely, completely, from scratch. That stop sign you drove past this morning, the red exists nowhere in the universe except inside your skull. Outside your brain, there is no red. There is electromagnetic radiation oscillating at 700 nanometers. That's it. That's all that's out there. A number, a frequency. A wave with no color attached to it. The color, the actual experience of redness, the feeling of it, that is something your brain constructs and projects outward. You don't receive color, you manufacture it. And here's the mechanism, stripped of jargon, just the raw physics of what's happening. Your 3 types of cone cells each respond to a broad range of wavelengths, with peak sensitivity at roughly 420, 530, and 560 nanometers. When light enters your eye, all 3 cone types fire, but at different intensities depending on the wavelength. Your visual cortex doesn't read those signals as colors.
It reads the ratio between them, the difference in activation between cone type 1, cone type 2, and cone type 3. That ratio, that comparison, gets assigned a subjective experience by your brain. Philosophers call it a qualia, the redness of red, the blueness of blue. It has no physical location. It cannot be measured by any instrument ever built. It lives exclusively in consciousness, your consciousness, nowhere else. Every color you have ever seen in your entire life was created inside your head. You have been living inside a painting your brain made, and you never knew. Let's go deeper, because the mechanism is even stranger than the revelation. When a photon hits a cone cell, it strikes a protein molecule called an opsin. That single photon, a massless particle of the electromagnetic field, causes one molecule to change shape. One molecule. That's the trigger. That's where your entire color experience begins. The shape change triggers a cascade, a chain reaction of proteins activating proteins activating proteins. Within milliseconds, the membrane voltage of that cone cell shifts by a few millivolts. That shift travels down the optic nerve as an electrochemical pulse, indistinguishable from pain, from sound, from touch. Your brain receives that pulse and asks one question: how does this compare to the other pulses arriving right now? Not what is the wavelength, not what is the frequency, just what is the ratio. And from that ratio, it builds a color, instantaneously, automatically, without your permission. Now here's where it gets genuinely strange. Your three cone types don't have clean, separate sensitivity ranges. They overlap massively. The green sensitive cone and the red sensitive cone peak at only 30 nanometers apart, 530 versus 560. That's an extraordinarily small difference. Yet from that tiny gap, your brain constructs an entire dimension of color experience, millions of distinguishable hues, from a 30 nanometer difference in peak sensitivity. That's not detection, that's computation. Your visual cortex is solving a mathematical problem every fraction of a second. And this explains something that should seem impossible: simultaneous color contrast. You can take two identical gray squares, place them on different colored backgrounds, and your brain will see two completely different colors. The physical wavelength reaching your eye is identical. The electrical signal produced is identical, but the ratio changes because the surrounding context shifts the comparison. Your brain isn't reading the light. It's solving for the most likely interpretation of a scene. It's making an educated guess, an extraordinarily sophisticated millisecond by millisecond guess about what's out there. And this is where the physics becomes something much larger than vision. This is the electromagnetic force, one of the four fundamental forces of the universe, meeting biological computation. Massless photons, generated by electron transitions in atoms, traveling at 300 million meters per second, striking a single protein molecule in your eye. That chain, from the quantum event inside an atom to the subjective experience of color in your mind, is one of the most extraordinary physical processes in the known universe. And it happens in you, right now, continuously, without effort, without awareness, every time you open your eyes. Now turn this inward, because the same process doesn't stop at color. Your brain is doing this with everything. Every single sensory channel you have. Sound isn't in the air. Sound is pressure waves, mechanical vibrations that your brain converts into the experience of music, of voices, of rain on a window. Pain isn't in your finger when you cut it. Pain is a signal your brain generates to tell you something needs attention. The warmth of sunlight on your skin isn't in the photons, it's in you. Every sensation you have ever experienced, every color, every sound, every texture, every smell, was constructed inside your skull. You have never experienced the world directly, not once. Not for a single second of your life. What you experience is your brain's model of the world, a simulation built from incomplete data, running in real time, updated constantly. And here's what should genuinely stop you for a moment. That model is extraordinarily good, frighteningly good. It has kept you alive. It has let you navigate, build, create, connect. You built relationships inside that model. You fell in love inside that model. Every beautiful thing you have ever seen existed, first and finally, inside your mind. Not as a lesser version of reality, as the only version of reality you have ever had access to. He meant it about physics, but it applies here with a force he might not have anticipated. Your brain creates color because it cannot understand raw electromagnetic frequency. It builds the experience, manufactures it, from ratios and comparisons and context, because that is the only way to make the data usable. You don't see the world, you create it, continuously.
Brilliantly. Alone. And now, go back to your eyes, the ones you've been using your entire life without a second thought. Right now, as you watch this, your visual cortex is firing. Ratios are being computed. Experiences are being generated. The colors you see in this frame, every single one of them, did not exist 1 second ago. They were built for you, by you, in the span of milliseconds. You are not a passive receiver of reality. You are its author. And the next time you look at a blue sky, or a red door, or the green of leaves in the afternoon light, you'll know that color never existed out there. It existed because you looked. If this changed the way you see things, literally, share it with someone whose reality you want to shatter too. The world looks different now. It always did. You just didn't know you were the one painting it.